welcome. Happy Monday. Let's go. It's another Gap Mastermind, and this one is special. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. As always, we bring you massive value, massive content here in Gap Mastermind every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific. We have 11 Central and noon Eastern for you guys. So excited to see many familiar faces. We got Sandra, I see Gil, Bobby, Rebecca, always. Man, it's a party. It's a party today. And obviously, our special guest today, Leo in the house. What's up? Let's go. And he's got a tight agenda. So I'm going to dive right into it. I know normally we want to get into some of the wins and some of the energy from the group, but we're gonna dive into our friend Leo today, and he's been our friend for many years and a favorite of ours, and just happened to climb his way up all the way to CEO. Doesn't get any better when one of your favorite people, one of your close friends, just is a badass and moves all the way to the top. This guy, obviously, fellow 30 under 30, and it's one thing you and I have in common, Leo. From there on, like you definitely have me squashed with 4,000 homes sold, massive, accolades to that. Number one agent in the world for KW by age 28. And, he also co-founded Remind, built that company, sold it, and still is a massive asset in the real estate industry. And obviously, our beloved CEO for eXp Realty, and he's just crushing it. The energy, the heart, the fact that he was an agent and relates with us. He was a team leader, relates with team leaders. He is an industry mover and shaker. He was the president of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. So super plugged in, has massive insights. This guy is now on the news more than Donald Trump these days. And it's just incredible for us to get the blessing to start the year with his vision. He's going to share with us what is in store for eXp, for the industry, for the future. And you guys are going to be able to scale and level out your business because you were here today. So get your notepad ready, get your pencil, your pen, and just be a great student. And welcome, Leo Pareja.
Good morning. Thank you for that warm introduction. I got to take you everywhere with me. That's the kind of introduction I want, bro. I appreciate you. Excited to be here. Excited for 2026. It's an interesting moment in time. So in the real estate industry, we are in our third year in a row of a down market, right? So if you guys have ever heard me say, context is my favorite word in the English language because the truth level sets. The truth gives you perspective. And so data is where I find truth, right? I say a lot, I'm very pragmatic. I try not to be emotional about things, which doesn't mean that I don't get emotional. So a lot of times when there is a massive amount of change or big news, I tell you guys, you can be mad and bitch for a day, but then you need to get over it. And then you just need to look at the data and make a decision how you're going to react. And so where are we at in 2026? One is we just finished arguably one of the lowest years in recent history. We're still in the low 4 millions. There is crazy predictions like from here to here for 2026. NAR has us going 14% increase year over year. Fannie has us at 2%. I'm with Fannie. And what I've said on the record for a couple of news outlets is that we'll probably have a copy paste of 2025, right? So whatever you experience in 2025, and again, we're in Florida, a lot of the group, and then people all over the country. It's a tale of a local market. So one of the things that's really interesting leading a national company is I meet with folks who are like, 180 days on market, and then others that are still getting multiple offers. And so for you folks that lead in a revenue share type company like we do, that's virtual and we're all over the place, you're almost having different conversations depending on the part of the country. And so where it really matters for you guys as practitioners, it is the time of being an expert. It is the time of knowing your numbers. And the super counterintuitive shift that a lot of you have to make is I know everyone prefers a buyer. Like if you're in the southwest of Florida, I see my homegirl Sandra up there. It's much better to work with a buyer, right? Because listings take forever, and unfortunately, Sandra's market has experienced probably the biggest price drops in the entire country. I'm so sorry, but factually correct, right? And so buyers are where you perceive you want to be, but the reality is this is the time to expand market share, right? It is the time to grow market share. When people withdraw from something because of pain, that's when I encourage you guys to move into it, right? It's kind of the story that gets told a lot on the internet about buffaloes versus cows, right? Cows run away from a storm and buffalo instinctively charge the storm, which makes the storm pass them faster, right? It's a smarter animal. And so right now when listings are canceling at the highest rate in 10 years. Like statistically understand that. Listings are canceling in the highest rate in 10 years. And what's going on is they call Carlos and say, "Hey Carlos, will you sell my house for 700,000?" And then Carlos lists it for 60 days, 70 days, 90 days, 6 months. And they don't listen to Carlos. And Carlos told them exactly what to do, but they didn't listen. And then they fire him. Then they call Nick and go, "Will you sell it for 700,000?" And then they call Kevin and say, "Will you sell it for 700,000?" Right? So if you look at times in the past, and this was like 2009, 10, 12, not in proportion, but in psychology, there is a window of time of pain where people have to get over the market of the moment, right? Because there's a quote that went pretty viral. I said, I think to CNN or Market Watch last year, that people really hung on to. I said, sellers think it's 2021 and buyers think it's 2008. And the truth is it's neither. And again, it expands into now, right? So you have buyers reading national headlines, which is, and again, a lot of coverage of Southwest Florida, right? So people in, I don't know, New Jersey are seeing that and then try to lowball a house by 100 grand and get frustrated because no one's taking it and it's still selling at close to list. So one is really understand your market, whether you're working with buyers or sellers, right? Because you also don't want to be driving someone around who's got this misunderstood expectation where they're going to lowball and get the house for half of the list price either, even if they're in Southwest Florida, right? It's really understanding your local market. So the one thing I've been preaching is this is the time to lead on listings. And again, that I said that a month ago and 6 months ago prior to the Compass Anywhere merger, right? The world is different as of today. Today there is now, and today's the first day trading as the new holding company. There is a company in the United States that has 340,000 agents globally and 210,000 in the US. This has never happened in the history of real estate, right? So the two important mandates from 2026 onward, you will probably hear me talk obsessively about is one is building and focusing on a personal brand, developing a personal brand around who you are, what you do in real estate. And the exercise I keep bringing up to people is we never give ourselves enough credit as a sample size of one. So for anyone who doesn't agree or believe on this consumption of certain platforms and way we consume data, I would give you the exercise of one, which is show me your phone. Let's open up screen time and go to which apps you use every single day and the most, right? And statistically speaking, it will probably be your top 3 social media apps. And depending on age, they rank Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or the other way around. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or if you're a millennial right in the middle, you probably start at Instagram and then the other two jump around at. And I see some of you looking down at your phone. I hope you're looking at what I'm telling you to look at right now. And so one thing that people overcomplicate is like, we don't have to be all things to all people. And that would probably be the most impactful thing that I could get most of you to think about, right? I think about that as eXp. A couple of years ago, I made a decision where I was like, look, I don't need to compete with everybody. I just need to compete with the people that are compatible to who we are, right? So what does that mean? I don't go after flat fee companies or people at flat fee companies because psychologically, that's the business model they prefer, right? It is a dollar driven, and again, not good or bad, not good or bad. You can go to a discount store, or you can go to a boutique, or you can go to somewhere in between. So just understanding your product market fit at all times. So really understand with where the people you want to serve spend their most time, right? So, like some of you who are experts in downsizing, like that is such a huge opportunity in this country right now, especially in Florida, right? Do you guys have a specific strategy for going for folks who are moving on to that part of life where they're going into retirement community and you are helping them declutter and auction and helping with like a basket of services, right? And then are you placing those ads, like those ads definitely need to live on Facebook versus TikTok, right? And so you need to understand the nuances of where the attention is. And I joke about that a lot because one of the, especially after the graciousness of Carlo's introduction, one of the things that I say is I'm remarkably average, right? Statistically, I'm 170, 175, depending on whether I'm watching my food or not. I have a beard and I'm a male. In this country, there's 80 million people that fit that demographic. So depending on the concentric circles of where you fall in as a consumer, like you add dad, father of two, and millennial, then it probably shrinks down, but it's probably still 10 million, right? It's still a big number of consumers that you can hit with ads or content. And right. And where that resonates is when I'm on Instagram and I get a well-placed ad that says Pedialyte, not only for your kid, but also for dad after the football game, right? Where it's hitting the right demographic. So I would obsess this year first identifying your ICP, your ideal customer profile. In software and tech, we talk about ICP a lot. I was just on a call with a vendor and they're like, we want to penetrate this group. I'm like, you need to define what the ICP is because a team of 10, I mean, we have teams of 200, right? But we also have teams of two, and 200 are considered teams at eXp. So what ICP would you even think is interesting to do stuff with us? And then just deciding that that's what you're going to do. And then I would encourage everyone in the entire company to focus on listings, 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 listings. And I do it from a selfishness point of view of, do you guys conceptually understand? It takes 30 hours to sell a listing according to NAR. It takes 87 hours to sell a buyer between sitting in your car, wear and tear, everything else, and contract fallout and everything else. And so, and as the entire debate last year of content and who owns the listings and Zillow and CoStar and Redfin and Rocket and blah, 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 blah. Guess what? If it's your listing and you're marketing it analogously, meaning no internet, and you hold mega open houses and you're doing all of the awesome things that you do to market that property, you're still going to run into ready, willing, and able buyers, right? Like nothing is more effective still than sitting at an open house because someone is actually physically driving and going into like that is the best hand raiser on the planet. So if you're controlling the inventory, you're controlling your destiny, right? Completely. And so when it comes to social, I hear a lot of agents break down, and I actually got into a interesting debate with a marketer, and I'll leave names out of it because this one gentleman took one of my posts and kind of hated on me on LinkedIn, which was interesting because I knew him through secondhand, and I was going to respond and get into a debate, but I realized that normally ends up on Inman now anytime I do that, and that's one of the evolutions of me where I realize that when I say shit, it ends up in the news now. And so instead I called him. I was like, first, you kind of hurt my feelings because like you just chose violence and I was minding my business. But secondly, you're incredibly wrong. Like you're wrong. And he was talking about how social is a kind of a waste of time and well-placed ads are better. And obviously he's a marketer, so he's selling stuff. And then I was like, the ad you were picking on didn't do that well on LinkedIn. It was like 45 likes and 2 comments. But the interesting part is I've now got into a cadence where we post twice a day on 6 platforms. So I'm touching 12 different pieces of content on average across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, There's six of them, whatever they all are. And some hit really well. Like I have one over the weekend that probably one of my most viral ones is hitting. I checked this before I got on the call. I was at 230,000 views. But on LinkedIn, the same one is at like 39 views or likes. So and with 1,600 impressions. So part of it is you need to get into a cadence that is comfortable for your personality and is talking to the people that you need to talk to. And by the way, Veronica's comment's really important. I did not have a Facebook account. I did not have a Twitter account. The only one I had was Instagram, and I had like 1,000 people on it, which were just my friends, right? Um, but when I stepped into this role, I had to make a decision that it was if I'm going to lead this business, the attention of all you guys and every other agent that's not with us that I'm hoping to help attract over here is there. So whether I like it or not, that is the medium that works right now, right? If it was the 1950s, we'd be doing, we'd be debating whether to spend more money on TV versus radio, right? And that was a thing. Like people didn't want to switch. They're like, well, this is proven that TV thing may never, stick. And so there is still in 2026 debates about whether you should be doing traditional marketing versus social. And the debate I have, and again, I say this all the time, you are a remarkably sophisticated consumer, and you don't give yourself enough credit. And the reason I'm saying that is because often you guys call me and go, hey, I'm going to spend money on this. And I'm like, cool. When's the last time you made a consumer buying decision with that medium? And fill in the blank, right? Like if you're going to take out a billboard or you're going to take out um, a, a bench or a bus. I'm like, again, understand when and how much. Like you guys are, a lot of you are in Central Florida, like Ken Posick taking out a billboard is different than a solo agent doing 10 million. Does that make sense? Right? Like he is now reinforcing brand and he's not with us, but I love the guy. We text all the time. Like he's done the work on the medium that matters first, right? So understand who you're selling to and then show up all the time, right? What I can unemphatically tell you right now is the pivot since I took over 18 months ago is when Veronica tees up a monster independent so I can help get them over the fence, um, they now know who I am. Even 18 months ago, and again, I've been in this game for 24 years, but there was still people who I did not hit on their sphere of influence. But what they now say is when I open my phone, you're there. It doesn't matter what corner of the internet, I'm there. And one is I say yes to every single podcast invite ever. Hear that. I do podcasts with agents that get 23 views. And by the way, I'm ecstatic because those 23 views are my humans. It's like you showing up to the HOA meeting. Those people live in that damn neighborhood. Those are your humans, right? Like, where are you spending time with the people that are most important to you, right? Who make buying decisions. And so I say yes to every podcast interview of agents at eXp. I have people come visit me. I'm very careful when I physically leave my house. So you guys see this background in almost 99% of my content because I don't leave my house. Because today I will do 14 of these, 30 minutes, super intense. I show up, I bring 110%. But in order to do that, I sleep 7.5 hours a day, right? I drink zero alcohol. I drink a lot of water. I eat clean. I don't put carbs and sugar in it because then wouldn't it be shitty if the time I show up after the meal, I show up low energy for you guys and you didn't get the full version, right? And so you need to be able to control your process and your funnel. But um, a lot of times I start talking to agents about social and they get stuck on where where to focus. And it's an introspective question. Is first, I want you to understand as you're because we're still in January, so a lot of you are still in that goal setting and planning part of the year, which is where I want you. I've really distilled this thought because I've been having it for a couple of years now as I talk to agents every single day is the game you're playing is how many hours am I willing to trade for the money I'm willing to make? And I think we overcomplicated, over romanticize it. It's that simple. Like I'm willing to part with about 8 hours a day for you guys because I don't do this for you guys. I do it for my bloodline, which means that I have to show up super present for you guys, but then still be able to take my kids to everything that matters to me, like to go to the gym, to be present with my wife, right? And so you have to control your activity 100% of the time, right? Like put a comment in the feed if I have commented on your Facebook or Instagram, right? And I make like that is part of my activity. Think about that. Like if I finish a call, like I'm structured in 30-minute increments and it's 14 to 16 per day. I have three versions of a day. One is this. Another one is in person with you guys. I was just in Orlando with a bunch of you guys in early December, right? And I spent the whole day. And then it's national conferences, right? So it's like an eXp con or an Inman. And so there's only three flavors of ice cream, right? I show up and I engage. And so if all of you who, like, if you've sold houses for 10 years, your homework for January is to go find everyone you've put into a home, follow them on Instagram and Facebook, and then just genuinely engage. Genuinely engage. Take an interest in what it is they do, right? And I'm probably not going to be able to follow all of you guys, but engage with me. I had an agent the other day ask me, it was a DM, and he goes, what do I need to do? It was on Slack, and he goes, what do I need to do to come up on your radar? And I said, create a real relationship and just engage with me, right? There are agents that do 3 or 4 million bucks in volume who I comment on all this. I know more about them because I'm engaged in their content. It's how we all consume stuff. And so, first step, how much money you want and how much time are you willing to give up for that money? And then you can decide a math problem of what you want your business to look like, right? How many listings you'll take, how you will get those leads. And again, there is no right or wrong. Cold, warm, direct mail, inbound. I don't give a shit. Pick it and then stick to it. And the way you do it is by asking the other people on this call. Like there's no secrets in this business. Like we know if you want to do X type of lead gen, there is a proven system, and this group, Carlos and Veronica and Gil and Bobby, they can all help you with it, right? And then you just need to execute. All right, I normally like doing a lot more Q&A, but I was riled up this morning, Carlos. Should I pause? I have 6 minutes. Any Q&A, or what do you want to
I
do?
mean, we're gonna do a mastermind right after you and whatnot. But if somebody has a burning question, put it in the chat, and we can take maybe one question. But take us home, just wrap up the mandate for them. And I know you gotta jump off right at the 30-minute
Yeah, so
mark.
so I will say 2026 will have a lot of insecurity in the mind of consumers. Consumers are really straightforward when you just multiply times a big number. Um, Consumer confidence is affected, right? And people say, well, rates are going to get better. But the fact is, when a seller um, or when a tenant is looking at a lease right now and they're 90 days out or 6 months out, based on the macro. So forget if they have stable job, but the macro, Venezuela and Greenland and interest rates and, conflict, right? There is a higher propensity for them to say, let me wait another year. Or a homeowner is deciding whether to move across town or take a risk. Um, I think because of the consumer confidence and where we're at, it's probably still not going to feel like 2021 is an outlier, but like a 2019, right? A more balanced market where we get to 5 or 6 million transactions. So, um, which means this year, compared to a 2019, you may have to still double activity to get similar results. Double activity to get similar results. Where once upon a time it took 20 contacts to get to one transaction, you may have to do 40 contacts to get to one transaction. And don't ever get mad at the result. The only controllable thing in life is the activity. So increase the activity to figure out the new math problem, but then understand that. A couple questions. Brian, how do you open up eXp Vietnam? You DM Felix Bravo. I'm not sure that we're opening up anything in the coming future. We just opened up like 7 or 8 countries and we need to digest that and make sure we can scale. But Felix Bravo is the person. Bobby, if there weren't any restrictions, what would you do to change the real estate industry? What the future would look like? That's a great question. But there are restrictions. So it's almost a fruitless thought process in the sense of because like there's regulations, we're highly regulated. We still have cooperative market, thankfully. But I think the future. So first of all, couple of things on that, Bobby. I believe that humans like their handheld for big purchases, and I don't think that's going into an app. I don't think that's changing. The last 5 years, we've actually had growth in people who use realtors versus didn't. As Gen Zs and younger millennials start buying, I think that entire demographic will want their handheld because they were helicopter parent by ourselves and Gen Xers, which is our fault, but creates job security for us. I don't think we're going anywhere. But stay in curiosity about AI. Like, um, if you aren't best friends with Gemini, ChatGPT, pick your LLM and just ask it stuff all day long, you're wasting one of the most incredibly free resources on the planet. Just incredible amount. Like just anything that's going on in your head, try to get into a GPT. I went on a crazy rabbit hole on eating and cooking over the weekend, and it's just crazy what it adds to your life. Veronica, what EXP programs are you most excited about? Wish agents would plug into? All of them, but more specifically, FastCap and then Team Leader Academy, and it's almost sequential, right? FastCap if you're solo or a team member, and Team Leader if you build a team leader. Uh, but make sure you're taking all of the free stuff in FastCap in this one cohort right now. We're piloting giving everyone Realty Pro seller leads, and so I'll have data on that. So no additional charge. We're unlocking it in this first cohort. So I'm always constantly trying to keep going. And Edilio, how do you anticipate the Compass Anywhere merger affecting the industry moving forward? So I will tell you, this year it won't do anything, and everyone's going to go, that was a nothing burger. 3 years from now, it will have fundamentally changed everything. And I had been saying this for about a year, and I'm fully prepared for it. So I'm not worried about anything. The challenge is that people are digesting many false news and panicking about either things. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so what you and Yelena said that. So you are the Sherpa. You're their expert guide. It is your job to distill and consume information and actually unpack what is real and what is not. And for most of you, when I said increase activity and go from 20 to 40, it's because maybe it's 20 people of you trying to find who needs to move. Who needs to move? The time of like, let's see what happens, can't work with those. Like you need to have a conversation with the seller that says, hey, you were going to start at 700, but in 90 days, if the market's fallen and we go to 649, are you there? Says, yes. Okay, cool. And another 90 days go by. Are we going to be at 599? No, I can't do that. Okay, why? Well, because I have a mortgage balance. Okay, well, then what happens? Do we pull it off the market and put it up for rent? Yes, we have to because I have a job transfer. Okay, cool. Do you want to sign a lease listing agreement as well? And I can market it out as well so we could have a backup plan. So have the conversations of what happens if then they're that, if then not then. So make sure you understand because they're like, no, my number is 650 and then I got to take it off the market and I'll just stay. Well, cool. I don't think it's going to sell for that. So I can't invest the 2,500 or on average statistically it costs to bring a house to market. All right. I'm out of time. Great seeing you
Thank you,
guys.
Leo. Appreciate you. And we'll have you back. These guys have a lot of questions, but always grateful for your time. And guys, we're going to stay here. We're going to unpack and mastermind, but show Leo some love and appreciation for the time he took for us
Thank you,
today.
Leo.
Thanks,
Take care,
Leo.
everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, so a lot of amazing things to unpack here, and let's have Veronica, Rebecca, Bobby. I mean, Gil if he's still around. Pin them up here, find it if you can, and let's mastermind around this. And any of you guys that want to chime in, the one thing that I would say is look at how it begins, right? And you know this, it just needs to be reminded sometimes. It's all about mindset, like the sacrifices or the commitment or the person you're willing to become to get to the goals that you want. I mean, eating healthy, being clean, priorities, right? Showing up with presence on the most important things that matter, right? So, who do you need to become to attract the level of success that you're after? That was a big, big takeaway from somebody that's at a very high level and seeing the level of commitment and the person he's become to get to that level is inspiring. And for all of us, we're always kind of polishing ourselves to become a better version of ourselves every single day. And hanging out with powerful people is key to that. So congrats on being here, hanging out with this powerful crew. V, I know you always have a lot of takeaways. So what were some of your takeaways?
Yeah, Leo is just obviously such a remarkable leader. And I think one of the things that everyone here needs to just kind of just take a minute and think about. If you just heard what Leo said 2 years ago, right? Leo was like very behind the scenes. We had the pleasure of knowing him, some of us who have been here for a while, because either we knew him from before or, he was his job originally was to be chief strategy officer and build relationships with us. He came in to develop revenues and programs. And Glenn is the ultimate G, right? OG. He's the ultimate recruiter. If we don't give Glenn enough credit for that, but he knew he was assembling a dream team. And Leo, the first call to action that Leo, the first, I would say, action item that Leo took was to build relationships with the leaders here. Then, as the industry started evolving, a little bit more competition, we were like, man, who's our wartime hero? Who's our wartime leader? And a lot of us on this call actually went to Glenn and said, man, like, Glenn, like, we need someone in the front. Like, and we all said, Leo's that guy. And Leo was like, I'm up for the challenge if that's what you guys want. And and we basically told him, like, we need you to step out of your comfort zone. And this is a guy who's like, that's like, for my introvert friends out there, right? It was really fun to watch someone says, I'm an introvert, but you have to decide to change your identity, right? If he continues to tell himself that, would he be the Leo that he is today, leading from the front? Leo made a decision when he made a commitment and he made a promise to lead this company, not just any company, but the biggest real estate company on the planet that is changing the industry and changing the world, right? And he had to decide who he was going to become to lead us from the front. And we will never forget the moment that we were like, Leo for CEO, Leo for CEO, right? It was just this little chant that behind the scenes. And it wasn't that we didn't love Glenn. Glenn, we were like, Glenn, you are a visionary, man. You are still that goat, right? You have a bigger monster to build for us. We need you in the lab, right? We need you to be in the lab doing what you do. And Leo has demonstrated what it is to step out of your comfort zone, what it is to lead from the front, what it is to learn new skill sets, what it is to push yourself. And do you think if he told us what to do and he wasn't doing it, we would feel the same way about Leo the way we feel today? Or do we respect it so much more because he's demonstrated it? You can't turn on social without seeing him, like he said, but he's demonstrated. So those of you who are on the fence of like, can I get started? Am I too late? Have you not seen the best example of what's possible in the last 18 months? Actually, it's shit in the last 12 months. And by the way, it's not just him. You've seen it with Wendy, you've seen it with the leadership team, you've seen it with all of us have witnessed an evolution. Remember when our eXp branding kind of looked like the dentist's office and it was like, guys, we got to do something a little bit better now, right? We got a little swagger now. Like it's a decision to change and to change your identity and to say, who do I need to become in order to be the next best version of myself. So that's one of the things that I'm most excited about. But what hasn't changed? Oftentimes we have to look at what hasn't changed. The people who understand this game, listings will still be king and trumped regardless of what market you're in. If you have the listings, if you control the listing inventory, you can drive buyer traffic, you can run a smarter business. And I love that Leo is still preaching that from, from the top and saying like listings still will give you the leverage that you need. And I'm just so excited that we continue to say we're going to be a listing focused brokerage first. Even though we're going to service buyers, we're going to service them at the highest level, and we have all these awesome things that we could do here at eXp. You can run your business however you want. But if you can help us get to a point where we're running a 60% listing heavy brokerage, we're going to be playing a different game in a couple of years. Jen had a great question of what is the power of, a brokerage having 300, agents. At the end of the day, when we're in the top three category of inventory, we're going to be talking a completely different game in the next couple of years. If MLSs go away, that's fine. The brokerages that have the most, the biggest army, which we will, because we're going to have the biggest global army. I'm betting on us because we just get it. We know what we have to do as an organization to continue to dominate. And we've got Leo, we've got Glenn, we've got you guys. So I'm just excited. I can ramble for hours.
The passion is real, and it comes from the top, right? He's so passionate. He's always willing to help, always willing to jump into any call for us. Doesn't matter who it is. So it's amazing. Bobby, let's go into your insights next.
Yeah. So I always love listening to Leo. For 4 years, I paid to be a part of this investment group, and I got to see hear from company founders. And when you hear people who they talk a little bit different, like the thing about a guy like Leo is he's talking to hedge funds. He's looking at this thing from a 30,000 foot view. And the way they talk is so different. Sometimes you can get caught up in what's the day to day, and you can hear him talking about the future. Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, which is if you really want to win the future, it's about anticipation. Don't be if you can know what's going to happen before it happens, then you can plan for it and you can capitalize on it. So I just love the fact that we've got a CEO that comes in. A couple of things that I wrote down that I picked that I appreciate about him because I have some similar qualities in the sense of he said something about he doesn't get emotional about the data and the numbers, right? And I say this to people all the time because sometimes you'll be in a business meeting and somebody's like, I don't want to offend you. I was like, you can't because I'm unemotional about business. Like it's either makes sense or it doesn't make sense. We're gonna sign the deal, we're not gonna sign a deal, but I'm not gonna sit here and suffer about you doing it. So I think that's the kind of people we need to be in 2026. This is not about emotion. It's about data. He kept talking about data and math problems. Hey, that's cool. Yeah. Well, what about this? Don't care about none of that noise. Create the math problem for yourself to move forward. Another thing he mentioned that I think is important is building a brand around you, right? Last year I started building this brand investor season, and it started to take some legs and stuff like that. And I realized something really important. It wasn't my intention. I wasn't some kind of oh, this is definitely going to work like this. But as it starts going on, what happens is I realized that because I put the word investor into my brand, now people look at me as that person, right? So I was able to do a flip at the beginning of last year that came to me because they say investor, oh, Bobby, right? And so I think that's very important that you guys build a brand this year that's yours. And what's cool about building your own brand is you don't have to share that with anybody, right? They can't take that from you, right? And you can be who you want to be within that brand, but as he said, you will attract your tribe, right? He's not trying to please everybody. What you're trying to do is say, does my brand align with me? So the people that love this will say, I want to be a part of that, right? We're doing that with the Alliance. I mean, we're doing the Global Alliance. We're talking about that. What do we do the best? We do culture. We're culture builders and we're leadership builders. We build leaders and we build culture. We're the best at it. People all over the country talk about the Global Alliance, right? They talk about us, right? So we have to be better marketers and let them know, hey, this is actually our brand. Actually, we're going to build this thing around this. And then I'll just say one final thing that if you guys were on that Vision 26 update about a week ago with Glenn Sanford, Brent, and I forgot who the other person was, but
Bringing
um,
Kate.
yeah. So Glenn Sanford mentioned something called forcing functions. And it sounds like a nerdy term, but but Glenn is Glenn, right? But a forcing function is something that forces you to execute on something you need to do. And right now, Veronica and I are about to launch Grid Orlando, which is an investment, kind of hub investor event that we're going to start doing. And I realized that whenever the minute that I committed to this forcing function of becoming a grid leader, then all these things have to start to happen. Like we had to build the brand. We had to get the site up. We had to get the graphics together. We have to start building the list, right? So start thinking about forcing functions, things that make you have to do something, right? Another example is I was asked to build out, help build out a commercial lending division for a company. I had heard about lovable.dev like a million times AI wise. And I was like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. When I was tasked with building that brand, I was like, oh, now I'm going to learn it. And now I'm like, I'm going to create a site every day. So that was a forcing function. So I'll leave you with that. Like, look this year, not only do the math problem, but figure out those actions you can take to make sure that you actually execute on those things.
Love it. What do you want to be known for? That was kind of a big circle around what Bobby was trying to say, and he nailed it, because in the end, that's what people remember. Like everybody here, we got 200 people approaching at any given point. They know that now they're going to go engage with Leo on social media, right? They know that right now, Bobby is the investor season guy and he's opening greed, and you think investment, you're going to call Bobby, right? And that's part of that brand alignment. I want to go to Vince, and then we're going to go into Mike Collier, who's got his hands up, and then we'll go into Rebecca. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, I really appreciate the leadership that we have in our organization with the Global Alliance, with Leo. What I take away is uh, how he uses his time, the way he broke down his three types of days and what type of day this was and how he came here. He came here because he was asked by the Global Alliance, right? So that we decided to bring him here to put in front of you guys, and we only had close to 200 people on the call. Where's the rest of our group? Right? So what can we do as leaders? One of the things he said was that he never turns down a podcast. Never turns down a group meeting like one of these. So we all have the opportunity to bring him into our world, to put him in front of our people. Let's take advantage of that. Right? Let's go out there. Let's fill up his calendar. He's opened it up to us. He said, "Hey, Global Alliance, you guys have the opportunity to share me as much as you want. Share me with your clients, share me with your followers, share me with your team members, your partners, whoever you want. All we need to do is take them up on that offer." Right? So I want to see more of that from more of us and spread the word around. Right? Leo's got great vision. He just, like Bobby said, it's how he delivers that message. He talks different. Right? And by him talking different, it allows us to think different. So if people are not listening to our message, let's have him deliver that message. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Boom. Proximity is power. And that's what we're about, as Bobby was saying in the Global Alliance, the culture, right? We elevate together. And when you're hanging out with Leo, when you're bringing Leo to your elevator to rise higher, to hear the language, to hear the future, to see around the corner, magic happens. Mike Collier has his hand up. Let's go to Mike.
What's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. Man, what a powerful call. I'm glad I was able to be on this one. And like you said, Vince, man, there should have been a lot more people that were on this call. But you know what? The people who showed up got what they came for. And that's really what I want to talk about really quick is just, Bobby mentioned how lovable.dev allowed him to prepare for a huge opportunity that could turn into, potentially millions of dollars. And he was able to do it very quickly because of AI. So one, showing up and leaning into AI and not being afraid of the future because the future is now. But the other part of that is he heard about lovable.dev and put it in his pocket and said, at some point, I'm going to use this. Maybe it's just not right now. Well, let me tell you something. The first time that I heard about lovable.dev, guess where I was? I was at eXpCon, Miami, 2025. And you know why? Because I decided to show up. In that moment, I didn't have a use for lovable.dev, but then I think it was Glenn Sanford who actually brought it up, and I started building landing pages, and now I've locked down a couple of luxury listings because of very simple landing pages, customized landing pages that I'm doing and building off of lovable.dev. But how did I find out about it? It's because I decided to show up to eXpCon, and so really putting a bow on it, showing up, and especially showing up at events, is so powerful. And if you've put some major goals, big goals on your dream board for this year, for 2026, I don't believe that you have a successful year without being at events this year. And so if I wanted to take, an extra 10 more listings, 25 more listings, I want to do 150 more transactions this year, whatever that is, how many events have you committed to, or you've decided to commit to this year? How are you going to show up? Because that's going to be the game changer.
Boom. Love it, love it. And Lovable, if you haven't seen what Lovable can do, two examples that are going to blow you away. Obviously, Glenn built the entire hub, the eXp hub, inside Lovable, like the whole community himself, like absolutely incredible. It's basically workplace totally owned by us. And he did it in like what, 30 days? That's the world that we live in. And since you guys are here, you can go to globalalliance.partners. Globalalliance.partners is our home for everything that we're building. So the university, the value proposition, the leaders you're leveraging. That's a little bit of a teaser. You guys can see what we have been working on. Gino is in the house. Gino doesn't sleep. He texts me like at 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 2 p.m. I don't even know. Sometimes I think it's a baby, but I just think he's just passionate about this project. So Global Alliance Partners was built on Lovable as well. And you guys can use that just by talking. I want a website that looks like this, that does this, and that's the magic of Lovable.
Carlos,
Let's
can I
go.
say something real quick about that?
Yeah.
Because I remember we've been talking about that for a while, right? And I'm like, Carlos is like, me and Gil talk about Carlos being like the Oz, right? Behind the scenes. I'm like, come on, Carlos. And he's like, we'll work out. I was like, Carlos, isn't this thing out there called Lovable that you could just build something like really quick? He was like, got it. Assignment understood. Let me get to work. And next thing you know, he's like, here you go. Because it's crazy, right? I think what I loved about the vision call, real quick, before we bring the next person, was that Spring said it, right? She had heard about it, but didn't really start diving into it until like 6 months later or 7 months later. And I always think like Carlos is like the techie, like operations person. I was like, hey, Carlos, I heard about this thing. Like, why are we using what Glenn is talking about? And he was like, assignment understood, delivered in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, when you leverage AI these days, I mean, it is incredible. So we have a lot of amazing stuff. Like, I know sometimes you guys miss us a little bit, Veronica, Gil, myself, and we're always working for you guys, and we're always doing amazing things. Gil is very passionate about our events that are coming up, and Mike was talking about events. So where do they need to be, Gil? And some of your takeaways from Leo.
I want to tell you, like, I'm taking this year very seriously. It's 12 days into this year. Ready? You've already passed a dozen opportunities to take a listing, to work a buyer consultation, to do dollar productive activities. And only you know if you were actually a realtor this year for these first dozen days. And I'm going to tell you, like, you've got to get hard. I'm going to tell you, for me, I looked back and I did my goal setting and I was thinking about what does it take to win. I just wanted to share this little piece with you guys because there's some things that are winning that they don't show up on your goal sheet. You better have some clarity on what you expect day by day. By the 13th day of the month, where do you want to be on your business? 13 days seems like an eternity to somebody who's trying to win, who wants to be number one, who wants to dominate. I hope you feel that in your spirit. I see a lot of amazing people on this call. I hope that you're coming at this with the absolute ideology of we're going to win more than our fair share. Number two is you got to be relentless. Because to be very frank with you, the time to just play realtor like a hobby, that's not the kind of year we're in. You're going to have to go out there and fight. You're going to have to go out there, no hype, just reps. And you know what I love about reps? You can't lie when you're under 225 pounds. When you're lifting your heaviest weight, you can't lie. That weight's either going to go up or it's going to come down. And you better push and push and push and get that weight off your chest. But you know what most people won't be willing to do? They won't be willing to push a weight they don't think they can lift. And this year, what I need you to do is I need you to push. Even if you don't think you can get it up. Get some help. Get a spotter if you have to. But I need you to push. I need you to put yourself in more living rooms than you've ever been in the next 12 days with more human beings that are buyers and sellers than you've ever been for the next 12 days. Make a goal for the next 12 days. I don't know what you did in the first 12 days. But if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, I'm going to give you a pass. And I'm going to say in these next 12 days, we're going to be the absolute best producers in our market. We're going to be at a minimum of 12 human-to-human appointments where we're going to define what are their goals and how we can serve them. That's got to be your ideology. I don't go to bed unless I'm eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly in the business of my profession. Number three, and this was the hardest one about winning for me. I'll be honest with you. It was, I remember as I was pretty damn good in my industry, and I had a boss give me this book. And this book, when he gave it to me, I was really offended that he would even give me this book. And it was a book called Emotional Intelligence. And I was like, fuck you. What do you mean by this? What is this shit? And he goes, it's exactly why you need to read this book. And I want to tell you, it's a terrible book. It's a terrible book. It's super boring. But what you're going to learn under that is my number three thing about winning. Oh, you got that book? Terrible book. uh, it's only terrible because I didn't want
I
to hear
needed
the
it.
advice. I didn't want to hear the advice that I needed to have to be a winner. It's funny how we'll sabotage ourselves from being a winner. If you're sabotaging yourself by not being in a listing appointment per day, then you know what you have to solve first. But for me, it was emotional intelligence. Like, what do you say to that seller when they say, do you want to lower your commission? I can tell you, I used to get hot. I can tell you, what do you say when an agent comes to you and says, oh, I'm not changing brokers. You're wasting your time with me. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. If you're going to be a winner, you need to understand how to handle that situation. My two-part systems always align. You're right. They're always right. And then I'm going to ask a few more questions, and we're going to define a new meaning. I'm going to align with them. Hey, you don't want to change your broker? Stay with your broker. Totally cool. Well, let's grow our business, man. Let's sit down. Let's just sit down and let's do some role playing together. Let's sit down and talk shop. What do you got that you're selling right now? Stay with your broker. I don't care, but we can still make money together. Let's partner up. Build some relationships like that. I'll be honest with you. Most of you guys that are on this call came to you or are here because somebody didn't give up. You got to be relentless this year. You got to look at your organization size and say, you know what? This is the year that I grow to the largest level that I've ever expected or anybody's ever expected of me. And it starts in 12 days. So I know that's not what you wanted to hear about, Carlos. Like, we can talk about where we're going to be, CBE. We're going to be in Cabo. We're going to be on the Gap Mastermind, the Build Cruise, and we're going to be at eXpCon. If you want to hang out with me, you want to hang out with Veronica, you want to hang out with leaders and winners, that's where you need to be. That was the genesis of my growth. I used to go to little events that, they don't even exist anymore, called NAEA. That's where I met Carlos for the first time in 2010 or something like that, or 9. And we were both trying to figure things out. And we just sat there, we scribbled in our notebooks, and we just took notes, because we knew one thing. We were going to be better than the year before. And the only way it was going to happen is we were going to be relentlessly attacking the year. Every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month. We're 12 days in this year. Take accountability of where you're at. And if you're part of the alliance, I want you to know right now, what we align with is winning. That is the denominator among all of us. All of us are winners. That is what the alliance is. It's about winning. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. I don't care what Fannie Mae says. I don't care what Real Estate NAR says. I don't care what anybody says. That's what we do. All right. So I want you guys to understand that's what this year stands for me. It's about winning. Carlos, go ahead.
I think we have
Oh,
Kendall's hand
love
up.
it, love it. We got Kendall with her hand up, and then we have Rebecca. So let's go.
All right. So, thank you. And Gil, that just really inspired something for me that I wanted to share with the group that I think is pretty relevant to where we are at today in the year as well as going forward. And one of the things that has been really top of mind for me that I've been challenged by and a lot of the conferences and spaces I've been in lately is identity. I know for me personally, I am going through a massive identity shift, right? And I've gone through several of these in my life, but I never understood or labeled it for what it actually was until now. And so I just want to encourage a lot of you that if you feel stuck, it's probably not because your goals aren't achievable. It's because your identity isn't matching the goals that you have. And when your goals and your identity doesn't match the goals that you have, your body, your brain, it will subconsciously try to save you, try to protect you. It will prevent you from the challenges ahead because it wants to keep you safe. And so I just encourage you all. I got three things I want to say, but the first thing is think about what your identity is. Like, for example, if you had an identity of I want to make $100,000 a year, that's an identity shift that you might need to go through to scale past that, right? Or if you have a struggle with cold calling or reaching out to your sphere of influence, a lot of that sometimes is around your identity. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a this, I'm not a that. Check your identity. Get real honest with yourself about how you're self-identifying and see if that's the thing that's preventing you from moving forward. So that's the first thing. With that, that comes with a book recommendation. This is my second thing. Dr. Benjamin Hardy, he wrote a book called Be Your Future Self Now. And I've been listening to that book, and that book has been really good for me and challenging me to not limit myself in what I think about myself today, but where do I plan to be? And how does that woman show up today? How does she change or how does she impact decisions today when I think from the vision of my future self? So that was point number two. And then point number three, because I'm going to be fast, is the last one is I just got back from two events back to back. And one of them was the AI Bot Summit. And one of the biggest translatable takeaways from that has nothing to do with AI. It has everything to do with taking action. If you do not take action within the next 72 hours, you will not take action. So if I can encourage you to do anything, it is find 1, 2, 3 things, whatever it's going to be that you plan to do and actually do it in the next 3 days. That is the only way that you are going to ensure that you actually move forward with your business. So take action in the next 72 hours. In fact, I say take action in the next 72 minutes. By going to write down what needs to change, what do you need to do differently, and then go execute on that. So that's it for me. Thank you guys for letting me be on.
And hey, we're in growth action production, right? So action. Let's go, Rebecca. Take us home. You got 1 minute. Let's go. And nobody better. I mean, this woman obviously is like the mayor of the Global Alliance, like, and her energy is felt.
La gobernadora.
I love it. Thank you
so grateful
much.
for you and appreciative of all that you're impacting in this organization. So just wanted to thank you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for that. And the truth is, I love our community here. We have something super special with the Global Alliance, and we've all been acting, in the background, building out what the future of Global Alliance, like Global Alliance had an identity shift, right? And so we had to get down and working, and now we're developing new things, new platforms, new systems, new masterminds, so that we can continue serving our community and helping each other grow and identifying new leaders. One of the things I'm working on right now is with our Círculo Mastermind, where we've taken about, 8 or 9 leaders from our Global Alliance family, and we're putting them in front and now opening up that Spanish Mastermind, which is doing phenomenal. Today was another amazing meeting with them. But what I heard today was, focusing on your branding. And we have so many ways to do it. I know that there's a lot of people who feel lost in that. And we're in the era of AI. And so if there's the one thing that I would share, I know that we're out of time right now, is just go into ChatGPT and brain dump You know, take the one or two things that you want to focus on and tell it everything and ask it for a framework. If you're wanting to get into social media, we literally have watched Leo Pareja, if anyone who knew him before, literally did not have a social media presence. And he just got to business doing what he do. He already had a brand outside of social media. He just brought it into social media. Who are you? What's your identity? What do you want to master? Just own it. Own that lane and go in there, go forth. I bless you. And so I guess that's it for me. You know, just go into AI and let it help you. Don't let it take over. Let it help you formulate, like bring out who you are.
Before Carlos, I think one thing I want to wrap us up with that I think is important is like, you know, we've got a lot of cool things happening in our organization that I think sometimes we seek outside thinking that, you know, we're distracted with what's going on. First of all, Bobby, congratulations on Grid. Launching this investor platform that's connected to 16,000 other investors. So trust me when I say that this is going to be huge, guys. You guys need to get involved. And if you want to kick off a grid in your local market, get with Bobby and I. We will show you how to do it. We'll connect you to our partners. Number two, Kendall and I just launched Climber, which is an AI network that we have been just working closely with. It's free to everyone and it's brand agnostic, and it's for you guys to come in and learn. This is not or anything that is to supplement or take away. It's another addition. Number two, Alliance Culture Center. If you're in the local Orlando market and you haven't been a part of the Alliance local office, get with Bobby, get with Gil. There's no reason you shouldn't be a part of that office because what's coming is fire. Number four, Círculo. If you are not following Círculo and what has just been launched, Michelle, Martin, and all these other amazing leaders, and this was again curated because of Rebecca's beautiful heart and brainchild and Carlos. So many cool things that are happening. Also, one really, 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 really important thing that I wanted to make sure that you guys understand is that Cabo is around the corner. And we have an opportunity to show up big there. Rebecca Soto and Michael Collier, it has not been publicly announced, but I'm going to go ahead and drop the beans here. They actually, because of their involvement in Build at Sea, were selected to be the actual MCs of all of Cabo, meaning the biggest platform outside of eXp, inside of the eXp community. Two of our leaders are actually going to bring down the house and be the MCs of that event. So if you have not gotten your Cabo ticket and you are thinking about it, please do this. I will be hosting the women's event. Women's event, bringing women speakers who have never had an opportunity to have a stage, emerging stage. And by the way, little secret, some Global Alliance people are going to have that stage. And last but not least, guys, our people are winning. But guess what Gil said? It's because they get in the right rooms. They're in the rooms. They're putting themselves there. But another part of growth is celebrating other people's success. If it's not you on stage this year, show up. Watch them how they lead, get in the right rooms, and we're opening up doors for others, but you gotta show up. And I want us all to be there and give the biggest Global Alliance like celebration to our partners, Michael Collier, who won an amazing prestigious award last year, and Rebecca, who's gonna MC this, and some of us who are gonna be leading the women's track. Kendall's gonna be doing some cool stuff with coaching people on how to become better speakers and get on bigger stages. This is your time. So get your Cabo 26 ticket. If you haven't gotten it yet, we will be there. We will pour into you, and so many more doors are going to open. That's all I have, but I wanted to make sure we did not miss that announcement, Carlos.
Appreciate you. And guys, get in the right rooms. That's the message. And make sure you're taking
and
massive
Gino
action.
did all the marketing for all of Cabo 2026 too. So are you seeing a pattern? Our people are winning. Our people are winning. So can't leave Gino out. Gino, thank you for everything you do.
All right, guys. See you in the next one next week. Another Gap Mastermind, and keep crushing it out there.